Hey, what's up, guys? Today I decided I'm going to upgrade the stereo on the Ranger. I actually picked up another stereo. This is the same one that I put in the Fox body. I kind of liked it, so I decided I'm going to put that in the old Ranger too and get rid of that one. But one of the issues is the one in the Ranger is a single din. This is going to be a double din, so I got to figure out if I got room for that. Make sure I can actually fit it in there. I already have the old stereo out here. You kind of see I've been messing around a little bit, but got the old stereo pulled out. Actually have the vent pulled out that goes here. I can kind of show you that. Stock Ranger. The dash vent goes there, and then on the left side here, kind of where this grate is here, or this design. I believe on four-wheel drive trucks, this is where the four-wheel drive buttons would be, or to turn on four-wheel drive. Can't remember, but I think that's where it goes. Mine's two-wheel drive, so if yours is four-wheel drive, I don't know what you're going to do there. But what I want to do is figure out how I can put a double din in here. There's room, but I'm going to have to cut some of this away. One issue is just to make sure you're not taking away support on the back side, and then all of a sudden the dash is all floppy. I can kind of see that one of the attachment points here, I guess, is right here. I don't know if how I'm gonna do that. If I'm gonna have to cut that or try and re-glue it on. I think that's the only one that's going to be in my way. There's not really another one in here, but basically this hole, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a lip that runs around here, and then it runs down kind of to here too. But so what I want to do is make one big panel here and put it on here. I'm going to have to kind of trim this right here and here nice and straight, and what I want to do is go grab that quick. Should have grabbed it when I was over here, but I have some of this plastic that I just picked up at Menards, Home Depot, whatever you want to call it. It's got kind of similar texture to the dash, so I should be able. That should work. It's only like a 1/16 or an 1/8 inch thick, I suppose. I think it'll work, but that's going to be my dash bezel. One of the issues is this isn't exactly square. It kind of leans this way. And yeah, that shape will be fun. So to try and fit this in here without it being way left, up, or whatever, it's going to be quite interesting. I think, kind of mocking this up before, it's going to be about as low as I can go. It'll still kind of just get into this corner here, and it'll clear over here, so it doesn't look kind of, it might still look a little goofy just because of the shape, but it'll fit in here the way I want it to. And then there might be a row of, I might put some switches up here. Over time I might actually take all my switches here that run some stuff and mount them up here so they're a little bit easier to reach. And yeah, so anyway, I think we'll be okay. First thing I kind of want to do is make a pattern that's nice and tight here out of that plastic, and then kind of start cutting away from there. But the only reason I have this tape here is just kind of to follow a nice straight line through here. But we'll get kind of see if we can get this pattern made up here and see how this is going to fit in here. Maybe make that plastic and test fit it in here, get that right, and then we can kind of start cutting. They don't really make, from what I can see or find, they don't make aftermarket dash bezels here. So if I wreck this thing and it doesn't work, I'm going to have to find a used one somewhere, and hopefully it's in good shape yet. So that's why I'm trying to take my time and make sure I do this right. But we'll make a big panel here, and then hopefully this will fit in there and look decent. So my first pattern is going to be kind of horrendous here, but you can kind of see I'm working up to it. I'm going to make just, it's hard to, I don't want to necessarily just go right to plastic and make this pattern and then get it wrong and have to do multiple ones. So I'm using some ram board, some paper, kind of to make this first pattern, and then we'll make one piece and then kind of make sure it all fits before actually transferring it to plastic. But you can kind of see I got ram board down here. This is my bottom edge, kind of have that taped in. I'm somewhat going to make an outside pattern first, and then I can make a full one. But you can kind of see I'm using some paper here too to make this. I got it kind of taped in place so it's not moving on me, but I'm just taking a pencil and kind of going back and forth, and I can find this edge. You can kind of see it here, this line. That's for my pattern. You can even see where it turns out and turns back in. So I'm going to use that, cut that out, make sure that looks good. Then I'll probably transfer that to some ram board so it's a little stiffer. But this edge is not straight. It's kind of got a bow to it. So that's why it's a little tricky, and I don't want to go to the plastic right away. This side too is going to have just a slight bow to it. Top and bottom are pretty straight, but we'll use this paper and kind of whatever I can to try and make this pattern. Alright, so I got pattern made. That should fit in there pretty good. It's a little bit oversized, just so I can do some trimming to, once I finally make the cut in the dash, I'll be able to trim that down and just make that fit nice. But my thought is there's just a slight recess here. It's about a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch, and that's about how thick that material is, the plastic that I'm going to be making this out of. So kind of all the way around here, that's the same size. Now once we get down here, that's quite a bit deeper. That's more of a 1/4 inch, but I think we'll still be able to okay once we start cutting some of this out. What I'll plan on doing is gluing it from the back side so you don't see it, so all this bezel will have to come off once I get to that point. But I should be able to trim this and make it look pretty decent, and we'll get our pattern cut out here, plastic, and just make sure that's going to look pretty good before I actually start cutting this out. And then we'll try and figure out exactly where the radio is going to sit. Like I said, it's probably going to be way down low here. For one, there's a little bit of support right here for the radio to rest on. Up here I'm not going to have as much, so it's all going to be relying on the dash, or the plastic piece that I put in here itself. So either that or I'd have to make some more bracing behind there. Just a lot of weight moving around. So being it's not that thick, that might not be enough. But if I have it low enough here, plus the trim piece that goes in here that the radio slides in, will support it too. But just to have enough strength there, I think we'll have it nice and low here, and it'll slide in there, and hopefully it looks okay. Kind of want to cut the hole out of the, see if I can grab it here, out of my trim piece. I want to make this one piece here, but we'll cut the hole and just see if it's going to look decent or not, or if it's going to look real crappy. That's why I'm kind of waiting to cut the hole in there till the last possible minute. So, alright, so I traced out the frame that holds the radio in on this one piece here, and so you can kind of see how it's going to sit. You can see it comes down to this corner, almost to the edge, just so it fits up in this part here. The higher you go with it, the worse that slides over or gets, you got to cut into this, which I didn't want to do. So we're going to keep it as low as possible, and it should all fit in here. Now the radio faceplate itself will be a little bit wider than this outline here, but that should fit. It should look okay. There's actually even some room up here if you wanted. Now that vent behind here, this truck doesn't have AC, so I don't really need this vent itself. We still have the other two over here and this one here. So this one I'll end up just blocking off, but if for some reason you wanted to, there probably would be a way to cut this one down somehow, almost install like half of it and mount it there and still have a vent. I mean, you could even just cut a hole there, just put a grate or something there, and make something here and still have room over here for something else. But mine, I'm just gonna leave blank right there. Like I said, I may end up moving the switches here. I don't know if I'd move all of them there or just add more, but I think it'll turn out all right. What I want to do next is basically, I think we'll transfer this over to plastic and then get that cut out, and we'll probably get this bezel taken off and get on the bench, and we can kind of start gluing that in. Before I cut this hole, I think, and install that frame, I think I want to get it all glued in there and dried and everything, just so it's not moving. So when I cut it, because it's so thin on the corners here, I might have issues with it. So we'll get this made into plastic, and yeah, we'll get it glued in. So I've got my panel cut out here. I almost got it fine-tuned the way I want it. As you can see too, I also cut out that piece across the middle here. This was sitting like that. But I'm getting pretty close. Basically want to sneak up on all the corners and all the edges so it looks nice. I still have to kind of trim this corner and along this edge a little bit, but otherwise it's going to sit in there pretty good. The one tricky part that I'm running into is on this side. This is where the little pin is that snaps into the rest of the dash. If you look, if I cut all that off, let's see if I can do this here, but if I was to actually slice it right up where I need to straight here, that's going to get rid of that whole thing here. So what I want to do is just take the top, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch off of it. So I'm going to have to kind of grind away on top but leave the back side, and then once I glue the panel on, it'll actually glue on the, you know, it'll sit on top of it, and I can glue all that together. So before I got to that point of cutting it off, I actually put some epoxy just to kind of bring that up and build that up. Otherwise it was kind of like this, where there was if I would have trimmed it on the back side there, it would have just cut right through it, and there would have been nothing to hold on to that. For the most part, you probably don't need that. There's other ways, I guess, to try and attach it if you want, but I'm trying to leave that on there. So, built that up best I can, and I'll glue it more once the panel is actually on there. But now that it's dried and hardened, I can take and kind of mill this down a little bit on the top side or the outside here, and I'll still have support there that's holding this in place. And then once I get the panel glued on, then all that will be nice and strong. So even like this here, I don't necessarily need to cut this away because it'll be sitting just on the top side of this lip here, but I do need to cut that down. So what I've been using is my belt sander. I found is probably the easiest way to kind of nice and smoothly mill that down, or kind of sand that down and quickly, I guess. There's other ways to do it, even a bench grinder too, but that can be a little aggressive. So that seems to be working pretty good, and I'll just kind of keep fine-tuning it until it fits in there the way I want it, and then I should be able to glue all that in there, let it dry, and then I can end up putting this plate in, and then we'll get to the inside of the dash, what we need to cut away. All right, I've got the panel glued in here. I got the opening cut out. I think it looks pretty good. I got it fairly flush. It was a little tricky kind of making sure it stays in place when I glue it, but I think it'll turned out all right. Next step is to basically go in and cut up the dash here. You'll be able to see it somewhat, but you can kind of see I got it drawn out here where my opening is going to be, and I'm going to have to put the light on it a little bit, not too bright, but it's going to come real close to this hole here, so I'm a little worried this could break over time or crack. Just have to be gentle with it, I guess, but I'll have to trim that, and I'll be trimming right here and down, and there's not really anything behind this cross member or this little piece here. Biggest thing is going to be the vent here, and which I'm not too worried about blocking that off or whatever, but the radio I'm putting in here is about 8 inches back from the face there, so I have to cut away quite a bit. It kind of flares, it comes from this way, flares forward, and then, you know, goes back in and flares back that way. I'm pretty much going to have to cut that flush all the way, and then I'll find a way to basically block that off. But ideally, you'd want to take this dash apart and get that vent out of there, that whole thing, and then put it on a bench basically and do it that way. But I'm not going that far. That's a lot of work. So we'll try and get in here, cut this as flush as we can. We'll end up making a huge mess in here, all kinds of plastic filings and whatnot, but we'll get that opening cut out, and shouldn't be too much longer. We can get this thing wired up and playing music. Alright, I know I should probably be put in prison for what I just did to this dash, so don't hate me too much for it, but I had to cut this quite a bit in here just for that to fit. So if you end up going with a double din, I highly recommend going with a pretty shallow one. Mine just happens to have a DVD player with it, so that's why there's no room to make it smaller, so it has to be that size. So I had to gut it quite a bit, you know, all the way back to this kind of support back here. But so the way it is, if you put it on vent, it's all just going to leak out. So I'm going to have to just put some panels in here, glue some panels in here, so I can seal that up somewhat, so we get a little bit of airflow out the sides and over to this one. Otherwise it's just going to be blowing all over the place. So I know I butchered it, but I should be able to get some panels glued in here, and it shouldn't take too long, and hopefully it looks decent, and then we should be able to get that stereo in here. Alright, as you can see, I've got the hole opened up best I could. I got my panels in there. I'm trying to get shadows in here, but so I put a panel across the back, and then I got a little one right here, and then also one kind of right on here, but it's basically squared off, so that seals up the vent on the inside there, and that should give me enough room. I still might need to massage the front here just a little bit once I put the face bezel on, but I think we're ready to test it out and then slide the radio in here. It shouldn't take me too long to wire it up either, but I think it turned out all right. I basically just used silicone to hold those panels in place. It's not the greatest look in the world, but you'll never see it once it's all back together. Like I said, maybe should be in prison for what I did here, but next person who ever tears this apart is gonna wonder what the hell happened. But we'll get it in here. I think it'll look great once I'm all said and done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, radio is installed. I think it looks pretty good. I know it's sitting a little bit lower. You know, we got the gap up here, but like I said, I might put some switches up here, move all those up there eventually. But for right now, I think it's turned out pretty good. I like how this panel fit in there and everything. And yeah, I'm happy with it. So took a little bit extra or more cutting than I wanted to do behind the radio, but everything is there, and I think I'll be happy with it. Now I got CarPlay, and yeah, there is a slight arch to this dash, so it's not perfectly flat up against here, but it's very minimal on top and bottom. It's a slight bit of gap, but you know, with that face bezel or this little trim piece that they send with it, hides that for the most part. But most radio installs aren't this complicated or in depth, I guess. It's just the way my application is, and I wanted to put that doubled in, which shouldn't fit in there anyway, but made it fit, works good, looks good. So I just gotta get my mess cleaned up, and I should be good to go. So until next time, guys, I appreciate you watching. Like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. So take care.